Hello again, YouTubers, Ultimate SpongeBob 101 back here again on the SpongeBob channel. We are reviewing episode 21 of the Patrick Star Show, The Patrick Show Sells Out, and Neptune's Ball. The synopsis states, The Patrick Show gets competing sponsors. Also, the Star family visits King Neptune's palace. Let's dive right in. Starting off with The Patrick Show Sells Out, I'd say this episode is filled with fast-paced, wacky action where Mr. Krabs and Plankton compete to get an upper hand by advertising on The Patrick Show, and I really enjoyed it. It starts off with Old Man Jenkins being the only customer in the Krusty Krab begging, and even offering to pay Krabs not to turn The Patrick Show off on the TV. This gives Krabs the idea of advertising on the show to customers just like Jenkins. But Plankton is spying on Krabs and, of course, attempts to book slots on The Patrick Show as well to compete, of course. We have a random scene reminding folks not to stand in the middle of the road before Krabs pulls up and starts advertising only to be disrupted by Plankton. Turns out advertising slots were sold to both Krabs and Plankton, leading to competition between the two. Also, Patrick's fingers were horrifying to see at that moment. Patrick and Squidina eventually jump in to break up the bickering, and then we move into a Captain Quasar and Pat-tron segment titled Patty vs. Paradox, where they arrive at a petty planet, and Plankton takes control of Pat-tron and a destructive chase ensues. This transitions into the Pat the Hapless segment, where Mr. Krabs becomes a monstrosity Patty who captures Patrick, and Plankton provides Patrick with chum, which once consumed give Patrick strength to beat the monstrous Krabs. This was quite funny but a bit one-sided since Krabs is basically just destroyed in the end. While the fighting between Krabs and Plankton continue, customers are piling up outside of both closed restaurants, so really what's the use of advertising if you don't open the business right? I guess that's the main moral of the story here. We then get a whole bunch of random scenes, starting with Krabs and Plankton imagining more ways to advertise, including Patrick wearing a Krusty Krab mascot outfit, and Patrick synchronized swimming in chum, followed by a very nice segment where Plankton and Patrick perform a chum bucket song. That's cut short by Krabs slamming down on Plankton with a piano, and Patrick just carries on, performing the Krusty Krab jingle instead. It was short but really super nice to see. Also, the chum bucket helmets is a great throwback to the first movie. Anyway, while the bickering continues, Patrick and Squidina realize the true effectiveness of the advertising and come up with a new business idea, selling rocks covered in jelly to the assembled hungry masses at the Krusty Krab and Chum Bucket. Meanwhile, the show has essentially become the Krusty Bucket Show, and there's a conflicting puppet segment between Krabs and Plankton, and even Slappy shows up to inform Krabs of the advertisement. When they have their first sponsor advertisement, they see Cowboy Patrick advertising Patrick's Jelly Rock Shack. All Patrick does is put jelly on rocks and throws them at his customers. The episode ends with a super random occurrence where Patrick returns to the set and throws jelly rocks at both Krabs and Plankton. So much violence, and that's really quite a random ending, but also quite funny as well. The plot gets 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed having Krabs and Plankton bickering in a more entertaining way than what we usually see in the main series, given the medium that was being used here, The Patrick Show. The ending was rather random, but with The Patrick Star Show, plenty of things are just meant to be random. Animation gets 9 out of 10. We got a large variety of very fun scenes ranging from Patrick's face moving to his hand, Pat-tron rampaging, Pat the Hapless defeating Krabs, and generally Patrick being used to promote either the Krusty Krab or the Chum Bucket in tons of different ways. Also, gotta love Cowboy Patrick. Unique Characteristics gets 9 out of 10 as well. Despite being a Krabs versus Plankton type of episode, the focus never seemed to be taken away from Patrick himself, and that's really nice to see him being constantly involved rather than being overshadowed by the business rivalry. So overall, this episode gets 26 out of 30 from me. Next up, we have Neptune's Ball, and this one is really unique as well. It starts off with Patrick doing stunts with whoopee cushions that end up with a destructive explosion, just him trying to show off that he can do even worse for Lady Upturn. Among the debris, Patrick finds Lady Upturn's purse, which contains an invitation to King Neptune's Ball that night, and just takes it. So using the time machine, the Star family gets some fancy duds. Patrick gets dressed in a French royal garb. Bunny gets an Egyptian outfit. Cecil dresses up in rock and roll. Squidina gets a gown. And Grandpat dresses like a Kaiser. They then crash into the castle and overtake Lady Upturn to enter, albeit while leaving Tinkle outside because no pets allowed. Patrick goes berserk for the food immediately, only to be stopped and reminded to be sophisticated. So we have him tearing off his mouth and literally using it as a plate to pile on food and swallow it, all while he's holding up his pinky. Funny stuff, man. Next, Bunny Snake Headdress swallows another party-goer's scarf, freaking them out. Squidina pesters the guy at the sound system and accidentally blasts the volume, causing the party-goers to literally lose their skin. Not great. Her dress then gets caught in the sound system, and she pulls it away while trying to escape. Meanwhile, Lady Upturn comes up with a plan to get into the party by painting Tinkle golden and hiding inside of it. And it actually works with the guard under the guise of golden toilet delivery. Grandpat arrives at a hall for what he calls geezers, reminiscing about how they hunted animals, and offers to help them relive their glory days, only for him to activate the animals and cause a rampage. We then move to Cecil, who's playing his air guitar, before being dragged away by Bunny to a ballroom where there's about to be a piano recital, and something has to go wrong here, right? So Cecil starts munching on kelp chips, but one of it flies into the piano and gets caught inside. He tries to retrieve it, but he too gets trapped, and the pianist arrives and starts playing, creating a terrible sound. This is all cut short with a stampede of Squidina, Patrick, the sound guy, Grandpat, the old guys, and the animals, followed by Lady Upturn smashing through into the ballroom. Lady Upturn basically exposes the Star family, getting them arrested and thrown out. Just as they are being led out, King Neptune arrives and confronts the commoners, but when he realizes that it's actually Patrick and his family, Neptune is thrilled since he is a huge fan of the Patrick Show. They are not only just allowed to stay, the party begins with Patrick Show jams as well. Really nice to see everything come full circle here. Patrick then suggests to take the party to someplace worse, i.e. the Star family residence, and Neptune brings them right there. The party then continues in a rather silly way. Once again, Lady Upturn is rejected entry, but Tinkle shows up and helps her get in, ending the episode. The plot gets 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed the various ways in which the characters are portrayed at a ball based on their characteristics. Plus, the dynamic between Lady Upturn and Tinkle was quite surprising, but also somewhat entertaining. Having Neptune be a fan of the Patrick Show just shows the wide reach of Patrick's silliness. Animation gets 8 out of 10. The creativity put into the outfits given to the Star family based on their characteristics was really great, and there were so many great scenes, from Patrick's fancy eating, Upturn hiding in Tinkle, Grandpat commandeering the hunt, and even Neptune just, chilling out and being a fan of Patrick. So that was really nice to see. Unique characteristics gets 9 out of 10. Having King Neptune show up in a more casual setting like this one is definitely unique, and while Star family antics are to be expected in any case, this one did have a fancy twist to it. And none of it was malicious, just the stars generally being themselves. Lady Upturn being a central character to the story was also an interesting and understandable choice given the fancy and wealthy vibe of the episode. Overall, this one gets 25 out of 30 from me. So that's all for our review, guys. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought about these 2 episodes. Make sure to subscribe, like, and I'll see you guys again in the next SpongeBob video coming real soon. Till then, bye!